All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, as always, want to give all the praises, honor, and the glory to Yahawah Ba'ashim YAHAWASHI Ba'ashim Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and unto the elders of Great Millstone, GMS, for time of this truth. Honors to the brethren in the Akim that is pushing out this truth with all sincerity and in faith. And to Wadi Yahawah Ba'ashim YAHAWASHI for allowing me once again to come back with another lesson. And the title of this lesson is simply going to be titled Big Faith. Okay? And, this is just something that have been on my mind, or was on my mind, I should say. And, yeah, that's, it's a simple title, and it's pretty self-explanatory, big faith, much faith, and that's what we're gonna need to have here in these last days. Okay, big faith, the biggest of faith of all time, and I have one of the scriptures that came to my mind when concerning this lesson was the book of James. And I believe I'll start there through the Spirit. This is, let's go to James. James chapter 2 and verse 5. And it says, James 2 and 5, and it says, hearken, my beloved brethren, meaning to take heed, to hear. And it says, have not the heavenly Father chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith? You see, because to be rich in anything is to have an abundance of, and let's see what word comes up.
Here's the definition of rich: having a great deal of money or assets. Wealthy.
Wealthy, well off, well to do. You got enough. Yeah. Let me see what this one is.
Abundance generally refers to a very large quantity or supply of something, often implying more than what is needed or expected.
Okay, and that's what the chosen and those that have been given the gift of faith have. They're rich in faith. All right, they have an abundance of. They have a very great supply of faith. And that's what we're going to need here in these last days. But it says, has not the Heavenly Father chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith, and heirs of that kingdom, which he hath promised to them that love him? And that's right, because that's what we want to receive, the kingdom, heirs to the kingdom, which the ones that are going to inherit the kingdom, first and foremost, is the elect. Okay, the elect are going to be the ones first and foremost to inherit the kingdom, because they're the ones that he hath promised to them, because those are the ones that love him. Those are the ones that are going to keep his ways. Those are going to be the ones that are fearing him and seeking those things that are pleasing unto him. Okay, this is Romans 1 and 17. And it says, for therein is the righteousness of the Heavenly Father revealed from faith to faith, as it is written, the just shall live by faith. And that's right, and the just is who? The righteous.
Here's the definition of just: based on or behaving according to what is morally right and fair.
Right, and here's the other one, righteous.
Righteous.
And that's the elect of the Most High, the elect of YAHAWAH. They're going to be living by faith, and that's what we That's what we bank on, always. We bank on faith. That's all we have is faith. That's all we have is hope. And that's what we're essentially going to be saved by as well. It says Romans chapter 8, verse 24. And yeah, 24. And it says, for if we are saved by hope, it's like it, for we are saved by hope, but hope that is seen is not hope. For what a man seeth, why doth he yet hope for it? And that's right, because if you've seen something already, you're not going to be wishing or hoping that it comes. You already lied your eyes on it. You got that saying, seeing is believing. I'll see it when I believe it when I see it. And, because the expectation of faith is no longer there when you have your eyes on it. Faith is only there when you can't see it, when you don't see it, but you hope for it. Like, for instance, like, I say this all the time whenever this topic comes up, is that everything is faith. Every single thing that you do, that you, whatever it is all, it's all faith. It's all hope. You hope that, today's Sunday, right? Well, my hope for myself, is that, you know, coming in Monday, all of us, if I'm sure all of us got to go to work, right? And I hope, I haven't seen it yet, but I hope that tomorrow is a quick and easy day when I go into work. You know, I hope that I hope that that I'm allowed to wake up. You know, I hope that I get a good night's rest. I hope that whenever the time comes where I, have a meal, that it's good and enough for to where I don't gotta fix myself up for anything. All that is hope. Everything is hope. You know, it's all hope. Everything is faith. But it says, verse 25. But if we hope for that we see not, then do we with patience wait for it. You see, and that's what we do. With patience, we wait for this. We wait for what? Everything. The promises, YAHAWASHI, the prophecies, all of the above. Okay? This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, and verse 1. And it says, now faith, right, is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So that's what faith is. Something that you hope for, but you ain't never seen it. You ain't seen not even a glimpse of it, not even a little bit of it, but you still hoping it. You know, it's like what's the best example you could get? Uh, you know, let's say let's say you was kind of speeding a little bit, right? Let's say you're on the road, you're speeding, the speed limit's 35, you're going 45, almost 50, right? You're speeding a little bit, and you see a cop on the side of the road, and you're like, oh shit. You see him pull out, and he's, got the lights right behind you, and he's like, your hope is that, you know, that I hope you haven't seen it yet. You don't know what he's gonna say. You don't know if the guy's gonna be a jerk off. You don't know. You don't know nothing. But your hope is that hopefully he doesn't give me a fucking speeding ticket, because that's just another inconvenience added to your list. So but you hope. You hope that he's cool. You hope like, okay, I just kind of zoned off. Really wasn't paying attention to my seat. I apologize. Here's my information, everything that you need, and you hope that all goes well. He might have just let you off with a warning, and then tell you, hey, just keep your eye on the speed and slow it down. All right, sir, have a good one. That's all faith. And you don't see that. But your hope is that, and that's what faith is. It's hope, something that you hope for, but you have no evidence of seeing it. But verse 6, you jump down to verse 6, it says, but without faith, right, it is impossible to please him. So without that faith, that gift, you can't please the Heavenly Father. It's very and almost impossible to please him. And it says, for he that cometh to the Heavenly Father must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek Him. And to diligently do anything, like if I show diligence in something, the definition of diligence is to show care and conscientiousness in one's work or duty. And whatever you do, whether it's your job or whatever, you're taking care of your family, all of those things like of that nature, that is a work. Those are duties. And if you don't show care in that, it's going to show. But if you have to show diligence, you got to show care and conscientiousness. Be aware of how everything's doing, what's going on, and show care. You know, be on top of your game, so to speak. You know, and that's what many of our forefathers, when you read of the triumphs of faith, you know, all the things that they had faith in. All right, like when you read on verse 7, by faith Noah, all right, being warned of the heavenly Father of things not seen as yet, which like when it says of things not seen as yet, what was the thing that he was warned of that was coming that nobody ever saw in those times? Because when you go into the days of Noah, into the ancient world, the old world, the first world, all right, before the first death came upon the world, there was no such, like, because right now, right, let's see, right now, it's probably not right now anymore. um there, right, but like right now it's raining, you know, rain ending around 8:30. uh and you know, back then, see, we're accustomed to rain. You know, when it rains, you know, nobody's all like, "Oh my God, look at this water from the sky. Would you look at that?" You know, we're accustomed to that. Back in the time of Noah, that never happened. Rain never fell down from the heavens. You know, when you wake up early in the morning, if you wake up early enough, you could see the dew, I like to call it, of like it's a white cloud that comes up from the ground, and that's how the earth was watered back in the day, you know. And Heavenly Father, after the days of Noah, caused it to rain, you know, from time to time since then till now. You know, so Noah, he was warned of something that he ain't never seen yet, and he, guess what? He didn't see it, but he still did what? It says, being warned of the Heavenly Father of things not seen as yet, he moved. It says, moved with fear. And what else did he do? Prepared an ark to the saving of his house, by the which he condemned the world and became an heir of righteousness, which is by what? By faith. See? So he prepared the ark, he moved with fear. He did accordingly of as what the Heavenly Father told him. You know, building the ark and building of certain wood and a certain height and width and all that. You know, after even not even seeing the rain come down, he still did it, and he did it in faith. You know. This is Proverbs 11:1. It says, "A false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is His delight." See, so an just weight is His delight. That's what the Heavenly Father likes, is a balanced weight. You know, too much of one and not enough of the other. It's the Heavenly Father. You don't really get down with that. But a balanced weight, an even amount. See, that's a you can get the A-OK, the approval. Okay. But it says, verse 2, when pride cometh, then cometh shame, but with the lowly, right? Which the lowly is the humble, right? It says, but with the lowly is wisdom. And it says, verse 3, the integrity of the upright shall guide them, but the perseverance of the transgressor shall destroy them. Riches profit not in the day of wrath. So any kind of money, whatever you think you got, it's not going to profit you. It's not going to help you in any kind of way, shape, or form in the day of the Heavenly Father's wrath when He comes to judge the earth. Okay? Riches profit not in the day of wrath, but what? But righteousness delivereth from death. So the things, the good deeds that you do, the righteous things that you do to the Heavenly Father, the things that are, even the things that are behind the scene, because you also got to remember, like, when the Heavenly Father's not looking, or I'm sorry, When nobody's looking, you have one person that is always looking. Okay, and it's the Heavenly Father. Why? Because the angels are always around. They occupy us all the time. You know, the angels and demons, they're all around us at all times. You might not be able to see them, but you better believe they're there. Okay? But righteousness is what's going to deliver you from death. Okay? And it says, the righteousness of the perfect shall direct his way, but the wicked shall fall by his own wickedness. The righteous of the upright shall deliver them, but transgressors shall be taken away in their own naughtiness. See? This is the book of Ephesians, chapter 2, verse 8. And it says, for by grace are ye saved through faith, right? And that not of yourselves, it is a gift of the Heavenly Father. So it's not of us, it's the gift of the Most High. You know, faith. You know, so you need to have faith. You must have faith. And it says, not of works, lest any man should boast. Because it's not of us. Because we didn't give ourselves that gift of faith. Nor could you. There's nobody here, and I don't care who you are or who you may think you are, there's nobody here that can go to your local supermarket, your local grocery store, liquor store, whatever, right? And be like, hey, let me get that box of faith. You know? Let me get that pint of faith. You ain't gonna, I mean, you know, you got some niggas out there that probably be like, yeah, you know, that's a whiskey, nigga. You wrong. Which, you know, I'm not talking about any kind of alcohol, but I'm talking of like faith. It's faith, actual faith. You can't purchase it anywhere. That's I don't even know if that's a word. Imperishable. You can't purchase it. Okay, you just can't. It's not on. It's not on the market. Okay. And I'm gonna go ahead and then you hear through the Spirit. This is the book of First Corinthians, chapter 2 and verse 5. Actually, there's another one that just came to mind, but I'll read this one first. First Corinthians 2 and 5. That your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men, but in the power of the Heavenly Father. So that's where you want to have your faith lie, in the Heavenly Father. Okay, where anything can be done, anything. All right, don't care how crazy it sounds, it could be accomplished by the Heavenly Father, because nothing's impossible with it. Okay. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 7, and it says, for we walk by faith, not by sight. And that's, you know, one of the best scriptures, you know, that I like to read. Walking by faith but not by sight. You know, and the Apostle Paul, man, when he wrote his epistles, man, he didn't play around, dog. He didn't play around at all. You know, and that's one of the famous sayings in the movie The Book of Eli.
This line is a direct quote from 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7 in the Bible.
Because she was asking him, how do you know? How do you know where we're going? How do you know you've been walking the right way or whatever, right? And he's like, well, I walk by faith, bitch. You know, because she annoyed the hell out of him during that movie. You know, you could tell he didn't like the little slut. But, you know, she's a beautiful woman too, you know. I'm just fucking talking shit. But, you know, he walked by faith in that movie. You know, that's another brilliant movie. Because in that movie, he was literally blind, you know. And he literally walked by faith. He walked by faith, not by sight. You know. But you know, through the Spirit, Akim, I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. I pray this lesson was edifying, exhorting, and comforting. As always, I'm gonna give all praises, honor, and the glory to YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, 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 and it's on to the next one, brother. Shalom.